I want to introduce the guest to my right. We got the esteemed guest, Dr. Andrew Hunt. Introduce yourself, Mr. Hunt. Dr. Hunt, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be on your show. I've watched a few of them, and I love how you guys just get right down to the matter and discuss things. Open dialogue.
Are you saying you're a fan of the show here?
I've enjoyed the 3 different shows that I've watched. It has been really good, yeah.
Right. And to his right, to future governor, we got King.
Oh, my goodness.
Of the Hebrew Israelites.
I am a servant, sir. I am the servant of Yah.
Honored to be in this prestigious
Panel, thank you once again.
in the arena.
You are the king.
Okay.
I just have to give that gavel, and to his right, we're gonna have the gavel man. It's gonna be Brother Yanga.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, man.
Yes,
It's always a pleasure to be here, and especially for this show. So I'm feeling a little under weather, so I hope everyone can bear with me, and I'm gonna try to talk as loudly as possible.
Oh, it's gonna come out.
It's gonna come out.
The lion's
I
gonna
hope
come out.
Yeah, the lion comes out along with the sickness. I hope
The
all that
lion's
comes
gonna
out
come out of
together.
the sickness.
Right, exactly. But it's always an honor and a pleasure, man, to be on the arena. You know how we do.
All right.
Right on.
Mr. Hunt, candidate for the Libertarian Party?
Yes.
Okay, explain. Of Georgia, no less. The governor of Georgia. You know, some big shoes to fill there.
Yes.
You know, Georgia being the 13th state, the favorite state of, it was King George.
Yeah.
This was his favorite state.
And the largest state east of the Mississippi.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
What-
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
I had a question. We start out, most people when they go into politics, they start out small. You start out as a councilman or this and that. You and I were talking earlier, and you said this is your first time running. Why governor?
The issues that I want to address need that type of role and position to address. We have an issue with jobs. Georgia lags the nation in employment. We have higher unemployment than the rest of the nation. Education, the same way. We are a laggard in education. We need to bring we need to be a top 20 state, not a bottom 20 state.
That's right.
Then we have just freedom and fairness. There's so many unfair things that affect our liberties every day that we need to address and take care of. That the only way you can address all these different things is in the role of governor.
Okay, now you mentioned jobs. You know, and I know earlier we talked about unions. You know, Georgia's one of them states that don't have unions, you know. And I know you expressed about, you know, unions should be a choice. And I agree with that. You know, I'm not talking about like the unions up with Guido up in New York where you're forced into the union, but I think it should be a union where people come together and voice their concerns about maybe, you know, wages and hours and benefits and that type of things. You know, what's your take on that? What says you?
Well, I think that people should have the right to get together as a group and voice an opinion. Some people are quiet and shy and aren't able to voice their opinions correctly.
Okay.
And then separate space. But absolutely no one should be ever forced to do something that they shouldn't want to do. Oh, boy, that'd be against our freedoms and liberties.
That's true.
Yeah. So you shouldn't ever be required to have a position to be part of a union.
Yeah.
And you should also be able to have free speech and open dialogue with management too. So, management should be able to voice and talk to people, and I think dialogue and conversation between parties is some of the most important and powerful things to do.
Isn't that relying though, we talk about the Libertarian Party and we talk about, and you as being a business owner, the CEO, I'm sure that is a touchy situation with unions and things of that nature. But isn't that like, if we don't have something in place to implement some fair act, isn't that like relying on the good nature of the human being? And haven't we been shown historically that man, through, us as Africans here in America, we can speak directly to those issues through the civil rights movement, through all the things that we've been through. Should we put our trust and our faith in just the good nature of men, or should we rally for, because some people for more government, some people are for more privatization, less government involvement. Where does the African, how does that play out? Is that I guess basically what I'm saying is, can we really rely on just the good nature of man?
I think the good nature of man is one of the most powerful things there are. I think by having government be quote unquote in charge of things, people then feel like they no longer have to take care of those things.
Oh.
And so that's what's happened. I think the good nature of man is fading away with time because they're depending on government to do those things. They're giving up that right. I think, we need to express more our good nature between each other. Now, as far as jobs, okay, it's bad, the unemployment rate, in particular among the African American group. It's just terrible. We need more jobs. And what we need to do is, did you know that government taxes an employer for creating a job?
Yeah.
And not an income tax, not a sales tax. There's actually taxes because you gave someone a job. That's wrong.
Yeah.
The number one thing we want to do is create jobs.
Yeah.
So you don't tax good behavior.
Yeah, right.
That's a wrong thing to do.
But what is the reasoning? Oh, go ahead.
No, brother.
No, I was going to say, well, what is the reasoning or justification of the taxation of the jobs? I mean, the government can say, well, we need to maybe build more infrastructure, hospitals, funding more, I don't know, scholarships for education.
Yeah. But if
environment,
yeah,
safeguards, like Georgia, we have a nuclear plant here that we've talked about.
Yeah. So I think what we have to look at is the most powerful thing an individual can do for choosing the work environment they want to live in and be in and earn a living from is by having more choice in which job and company they want to work for.
Right.
And if a company doesn't behave well, doesn't treat people right, well, you simply leave them for another company. But that you can only do that if there's low unemployment. That there's lots of job openings. With lots of jobs openings, the bad companies will fail to keep their employees.
And if there's more, and if there's less obstacles, we're talking to people that have obstacles, and this is for my women at 9 to 5 working women, band the box.
That's right.
We're talking about when you're talking about jobs and you're talking about a state like Georgia, right to work state, you're dealing with people who in the African American community say are being double penalized. They're being not only do those who have been convicted of felonies, not only do they serve time, but when they come out, they have to sign a check that they have been convicted of felonies. And in a right to work state, that hinders them. And they don't even have to explain why they're not allowed to get this employment. And we're talking that the criminalization of black men and women here start as early as 16 and 17. So when when they come home, we're looking, and these are family men and sisters that have family. So it's putting them back into a criminal element, a criminal environment, some way to survive. So it's not that I advocate bigger government, but we see the need for a lot of these social programs came out of the greed of men and the hatred for minorities or certain ethnicities. So is there a middle way to go? We don't want to go so privatized that we're just relying on the goodwill, the good nature of everyone else. Is there a need for certain government programs to say, hey, look, especially like I say, and if you run for governor, one of the things that you will see me a lot on with the women from 9 to 5 working women is the band the box. And one of the things I would come to you with is saying something like, hey, look, I've served my time, I did my thing. Is there some way that me as a minority can be guaranteed the right to survival? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Food, clothing, shelter, that type of thing.
Absolutely. That's what we need to get to, where all of those rights are respected. And we keep the open and free system for people to be able to move around and choose the best job and the best work environment. And we need to have it that those doors, we need to change the culture of our state and nation.
Right.
We need to become a colorblind citizenry of Americans. And it doesn't exist right now.
Hold on. I need that gavel over there.
Okay, let's slide this to the original gavel, man.
We always talk about a colorblind society.
We're not, though.
Okay, but what I'm saying,
I'm not saying we're not there.
Get your governor in. We need a wage blind society. So we can talk about the color, but when it comes down to it, we got plenty of black people up in high positions getting
big money.
Big money, yeah, right. Color doesn't matter.
And sometimes extra money.
Exactly.
All the different people in politics. I'm not saying one group versus the other, but there's lots of people doing this at the high levels.
I want to say officially here in the arena, not colorblind, we need a wage blind society. You feel what I'm saying?
We need to have it that people are properly compensated for good work.
Work, absolutely.
And,
Right.
and what does the best job of that is a free and open marketplace, one where rules and regulations do not inhibit the formation of businesses. We need it that anyone and everyone can readily start businesses.
Yes.
And that there's some
Yes.
laws that restrict that some too,
Yes.
and that's against fairness.
Yes.
One of my platforms is fairness and freedom, okay? And we need to have fair systems. And
you
if
know-
their system is not fair, we need to change it.
Okay, well, I know.
Well, you know, it's interesting because, first of all, I'm so honored to be on the set with you here in the arena, Dr. Hunt, and the fact that you were a former triathlete. I mean,
Well, decathlete.
decathlete, thank you. It is an honor because that's a whole level of warrior. Obviously, you've taken care of yourself, and that speaks to your leadership abilities because it starts with your body first and then spreads abroad. Now, and Brother Yanga mentioned about the criminalization of our children.
Oh, it's terrible.
The issue, he said 16. From my perspective and what I've observed, it starts in elementary school with the drugs in our schools, which is one of the questions I want to ask, how you would change that. Because Ritalin now, they have these commercials on TV. If your son is taking Ritalin and he has breast, you should call us at
Right.
1-800, you've got breast as a man. You know, so, I mean, when we look at what's happening in our school systems, where our children are being taken away, they're being drugged, they're being taken away from the human touch because of the computers, everything. They're not allowed to go out and play like they used to. Classes like music is being taken out of the schools as if music is not important.
Right.
So that would be my first question. And then when we talk about our present governor, Nathan Deal, and we've really been trying, in the civil rights community I'm a member of, been trying to criminalize him based on a lot of perspectives. But what I found out under Tyrone Brooks' leadership in Gabio, which he leads the Black Elected Officials organization, is that Governor Deal has hired more woolly-haired, melanated people during his administration than any other governor. And you just spoke of jobs. So the two elements I would ask you about right now is first, the criminalization of our children, melanated, woolly-haired children, which actually are your children, because probably your grandmother was taken care of by one of my mothers, but we're all one family, as you
We
said.
are one family.
Boom.
We are one people. We are Georgians. We are Americans.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
We need one wage. I'm sorry.
So education is the key to opening up the opportunity of a person's life. If anyone inhibits a person's capabilities in their lifetime, that is one of the worst things you can do. If government needs to do one thing right, it's education.
Yes.
And make sure it's good and proper in all areas too. We have some areas, the Atlanta public school system, where they graduate less than 60% of their students.
Man.
That I would call to the point of criminal. It
Yeah.
really is. It's that bad, okay? There is, though, a charter school inside the same boundary that operates in the same building that was one of the Atlanta public school systems. It's called KIPP schools.
My
They
niece and nephew go to
graduate
KIPP.
over 93%
Yes.
of their students. And 85% of them get accepted to college.
Okay.
So now you're comparing less than 60% even graduating versus 85% being afforded the choice of going to college.
Okay.
That's what we need. This is the same neighborhood, the same people, the same parents. It's bad education systems that we need to clean up in this state. We have some very good counties and areas that do an excellent job of it. We have one school that ranks in the top 10 of all high schools in the nation. But we need to spread that around all the neighborhoods. We can't have it that certain neighborhoods have great schools
Right.
and other neighborhoods have bad bad
Right.
schools, because then we're hurting the performance of the state.
Now, I don't want to let you off the hook on this issue of drugs in the school.
Oh.
And how we define good and bad schools, I believe, is also symptomatic of propaganda and social engineering, because when our schools were quote unquote bad, some of the most brilliant, talented geniuses ever to bless the earth were reared out of those meager environments. So I don't necessarily equate the ability to ascertain information with a building or a structure or a piece of paper.
It just
money.
makes it harder for them to achieve what they did.
Okay.
Okay? Having the education not at par with other areas,
Yes, sir.
it just shows what truly tremendous people they were. Not good, but incredibly good people.
Absolutely.
Because they had a lacking of education and they still rose to such heights.
Exactly.
Necessity
Okay?
is the mother of
That's
invention.
showing the capability and talents that's there that we need to unleash.
Yes, sir.
And we will become a better nation and people because of it.
Well, Dr. Hunt, but you talked about how the Libertarian Party, I'm assuming, wants less government, correct?
Yes.
But historically, we talked about how, I mean, it was just yesterday where federal government had to come in and kind of regulate and kind of get things situated down here in the South, because we run our state the way we want.
What are you talking about? What you talking about, man?
So what I'm saying is that,
Down here in this dirty.
historically speaking, I mean, you want to get a nice constituent of voters, but when you talk about less government, then they're going to think back to state rights. And, I know people might argue things are different now, but we still need that check and balance. Like, let me give you an example of Georgia here. We talk about education, but nobody talks about housing. Mm-hmm. Georgia has one of the worst housing when it comes to mold, mildew, rotting, just bad conditions. So we talk about, education being a piece. What about when a child goes back to their home and their environment? Mm-hmm. And they got black mold on the walls and they can barely breathe. So it's like, let's address not only the education, but the housing situation. We got to get these houses up in order.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But is that a feature of government, or is that the family structure working with this entity called the government? Because the government is just the wealthy that have created departments and divisions to control the poor.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Pardon. Because I wanted to address on what Son was saying. Go back to what he was saying. We know historically, the Africans here in America start out Republicans.
Exactly.
Through the Lincoln thing and this and that.
Exactly.
Okay. So we were all about individual, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, lessen government involvement. Right. But due to whatever
regulation,
because the government back then was keeping you down.
Right, the government was keeping us down then. But I think when
okay, but which government? Was it state or federal?
It was.
Yeah, but see, back then we had farms.
Yeah, okay, but here's the point. Here's the point that I'm going to. Especially when you had mass immigration up north and things of this nature, running from a lot of things that we needed. That we started to find out that pull you, like when we had land, you could pull yourself, and down the south you could pull yourself up in the bootstraps. When we started to migrate to the north, we started to find that this trusting on the goodwill of individual men wasn't always in the best interest. So you had this mass, I want to say, was it during FDR's time, this mass thing of going to the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Because the program, I think I heard, I can't remember who they said. They said
that's probably when they got that program where they took the man out of the house and started paying the women so that for the man not to be in the home under FDR.
Come on. They destroyed us, but here's the question. Here's the question that I say this. It's twofold, Mr. Hunt. One, would it be advantageous for the Africans here in America, African Americans, to, like I said, there again, trust the goodwill of men and to leave? Like me, I'm independent, man. I'm not with any of that stuff. Black people have historically voted Democrat because their grandmama voted Democrat. They couldn't tell you no more about a damn Democrat than, you know what I'm saying? You were like, why you vote Democrat?
What has it done for you?
Right, what has it done for you? Right, it's just what their grandmama voted. It's what's been historical, you know what I'm saying? The Democrats. It's Martin Luther King's like going in a black person's house in the South. You got Jesus, John F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King on the wall. You know what I'm saying?
And Martin Luther King's daddy was a Republican.
Right, so here it is. So is it, one, what would the libertarians say? How would they really get us as Africans here to really take a look at leaving something that has been traditional and historical?
And
would
beat
it be
down and dog
right?
sticked on.
And would it be advantageous
Come on.
for us to do that?
Yeah. First of all, don't overly trust other people.
They may speak with forked you.
Absolutely. There's a lot of liars out there. And there's a lot of very good career politicians.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Which is their career of lying. Yes, this is true.
So yeah, you have to look at everything and not always trust me. What you need to do is have all the opportunities availed to you to have a great life. And the freedoms and the opportunities need to be there and for all.
Right.
Okay? You need to be given, the rights to pursue these lives, to find a great place of work, find ways that you can help other people, find your community paths that you can do and contribute back into, and that people will help you too.
But that's the over the rainbow perspective. Let's deal with what we're really dealing with right now, because that's not where we are. We don't have the freedoms. We're being cut off at every hand. The internet now is the new realm for targeting our children, and with this slim, thin man fiasco where the two 12-year-old girls lured another girl into a secluded area, stabbed her 19 times. So when we're talking about this infusion of the internet, education, or the miseducation or the dumbing down of the populace, I think it's by design, because the populace is being taught dumbed down for a reason.
Yeah.
Because independence has been taken away, because as we talked about the food industry, farmers, we used to grow our own food. We used to have land where we developed things that would help support our progress, and they were taken away from us. So we know that this government has an agenda, and we want to know how you're going to change the oligarchy, or will you go along to get along if you as a libertarian put in this lofty position.
And then I had one question with him too. And is it important for us to vote?
It's hugely important to vote.
No, he didn't.
Gotta get you every show. Gotta get you every. Gotta get you. Because there are us in our communities that say that the political process is a farce for African American people. And I'm telling you that your presence here today proves that, that it isn't a farce, and that if someone comes out and is addressing you and listening to your issues and your needs, and apparently they want to hear what you say. If it was a farce, then people wouldn't waste their time. So you would say that it's important for, and I'm not even going to say vote, but at the very least, for the people that have always to register to vote and to be a part of the political process that that affects your surrounding communities and affects you.
If you all don't, then you're really giving up your rights.
That's right.
And no one will address your needs.
Right on.
Well, let me address that, because I would never, first of all, no disrespect to you, sir, and your family, I would never vote for white supremacy or white privilege. That the antithesis of not voting for the system of oppression and those who are the captors of our ancestors and the takers of our ancestors from the land is to organize from a grassroots organization level, and that is the church. So our churches have been traditionally our areas where we began to build our community. The churches have been infiltrated. Through Christianity, we have been taken through the division of the myriad doors of Christianity. So the unity of our people is going to have to come around, not necessarily a religious, a religious order, but an awakening of the populace of what's happening under this militarized prison industrial complex that we presently have. The change has to be, we have to have clean air, clean water, and we've got to fight against the system.
We have to change the system that's breaking up the families.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Families need to be held together and not separated by times in jail for victimless crimes.
Bingo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We need to somebody.
Victimless crimes are the worst way to break up families. Yes, sir. Families are so important to the proper functioning of our society.
But what
we need to honor and respect that.
Let me say that briefly. What you just identified is what we're seeing in our community as our families are being broken down by the very government and system that you want to represent.
I want to represent change in that system. I do not want to. I do not represent that system.
Okay.
I am against that system. And that is why I'm left my company to come do this. I'm here to serve.
Okay.
I am not here to endorse the current system. In fact, that's exactly why I am running, because the system is not fair. And it does not provide the freedoms that we should have as people.
You know, I told you
Exactly.
before the show, and because you're a beautiful brother, you know, I said, you look like John F. Kennedy when you said that. Because John F. Kennedy had that same, see, there's an oligarchy, there's a ruling elite that is not going to let you, me, or God Almighty, they think, change what their destiny is to world domination.
We're going to have to fight it together.
Exactly.
As a
Exactly.
people.
Oh, there we go.
As
And
a
I
people.
agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree with
But
you.
I-
But not
government-
joining their
Exactly.
system. Not
But it's
joining.
not
No,
about.
no.
It's not about joining. It's not about joining the system. This is what I always say. There's no way politics affects everything. You know, there's no way you can live in a land that has laws, that have government, and you can close your eyes. And no disrespect to my religious people out there. One of the most beautiful things, if there is a beautiful thing about the country set up, this is a secular country.
That's right.
That you can come in here, you can be Hindu, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be whatever.
can be an
But it's a
atheist.
right, an atheist. But it's about the rights of the people. The problem that we have is that we see government has stopped empowering the people. It is no longer for the people or representing the people.
Right.
So that what I would advocate for every African here in America is that if you're fighting for your freedom, you're not limited to a fight. You know what I'm saying? You should do your businesses. We should get our own businesses. We should control the economics in our community. We
Yes.
should control the education in our community.
Yes.
So if you
Yes,
find
yes.
So
That's
if
what
we-
you need
right.
to do.
So if we
You
find-
need to run your own
We
businesses.
need to run our own businesses.
You need to hire your own people.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need to make sure your schools are
Exactly.
functional.
That's right.
So if we find
You need to get
allies,
involved.
if we find right, so if we find allies
And I
that are
will
along,
support that,
see,
okay?
that are along those lines, that are talking about, like you said, this how public education is crippling us and harming us, and
Exactly.
we're finding allies or people that are along the same lines that say, hey, look, charter schools, allow them to control their curriculum,
Well-
allow them to teach their children. Then we don't have to go through this thing. To be, in my conclusion, to be brief, I know what he's talking about, Kip. I have a niece and a nephew. What's up, Queen? What's up, Jesus? Yeah, my nephew's name is Jesus.
Wow.
What's up, Jesus? And I was so fascinated, man. I mean, I was blown away. They had a science fair, and what they did, it wasn't a science fair, it was Young Inventors of America, something like this.
okay.
And they each, and the children, worked on a team to invent a product.
Right.
And they was given a Morehouse mentor
Okay.
to help them with this.
Yes,
and my
yes,
nephew
yes.
invented the helmet the bike helmet that you could, put different stickers on the tray. And they had people from Walmart there, and they were asking questions. And the winner actually got to have his product looked at and see how it could be placed on the shelf.
Oh,
this is a
excellent,
KIP
excellent.
program.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying? And I was just blown away by how the whole, how the whole thing was run. So what I'm looking at is we have to ally ourselves with people who are about empowering the people.
Exactly.
Who are about liberating the people.
Uh-oh.
Who don't take
Libertarian.
offense. Who don't take offense that we say, hey, look, love you, man, but I'm African here in America.
Hello.
I got specific issues and I have specific needs.
That's
and I
right.
need to know, are you addressing those things for me? Yeah, we one people.
Right. But
And Georgia's cool, but historically I've been boo-booed on.
Hello.
I've been trampled down.
Come on.
So I need to
Dog
make sure
been
that
shaking
you're
on
not
me.
following in the long line of that.
Rocks thrown
You know what I'm
at
saying?
me.
And
Come
that your
on.
thing right, and that you have to do what I admire is technically. My thing, I send out the question: would the other candidates come and sit down with us like this?
Oh yeah.
And rap to us like this, like
he's a soldier.
Mr. Hunt.
But it's a
You know
war,
what I'm saying? So we send that invite out there
come
to
on.
really address us because they're sure gonna be pandering for our votes. You know what I'm saying? So we have to these things we have
They'll
to take.
be running
into-
those TV ads, those radio
Right,
commercials,
exactly.
and believe
Exactly.
everything they say.
But I wanted to say this. And my question to Mr. Hunt, why libertarian? Why not Democrat, Republican? Why libertarian?
There you go.
Because it represents the right path forward.
Exactly.
What we need to do is we need to get freedom. We need to have liberty in our lives, okay? And both the other parties, they're also both bought out to special interest groups
Okay.
and
Thank you. No doubt.
big corporate interest
Exactly.
and the establishment, okay? Both sides are. And they both get money from the same groups.
Thank you. Thank you. Incestuous, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you need someone that's independent and free of that will really look at it from a equal rights point of view. I mean, a freedom and fairness point of
Yeah.
view. Liberty and justice for all.
Hey, haven't we
I
heard
like
that
that,
somewhere
right.
before, man?
Don't leave anyone out. It's all.
And they always say they're so
That's
beautiful, beautiful manicured
Right.
teeth and spots.
Well, see, this separates the mice from the men right here. So, Is it about the people or corporations, Mr. Hunt? You know, they
Wait a
voted
minute.
corporations as people now.
Come on now. I was just getting ready to go there.
There are so many great things that happen from our corporations. We just have to realize that, okay? I mean,
He been bought out.
No, I haven't been bought out.
He been bought out. Hold on, boys. Somebody wait to
knock on it.
Let me get this
No,
guy
he
out of
didn't
here.
go
Let's take it to Seattle.
He's not trying to get rid of that money. He go here. Come on.
No.
Now, Dr. Hunt, I brought, you know, I warned you.
Yeah.
I said, you know, we talked about Monsanto.
Yeah.
The people said, we want labels.
Yes.
The people.
GMO.
Right. And Monsanto said, you know, they're Dr. Hunt. You know, we run a fine company here.
Yeah.
Make sure that we don't get those labels.
Yeah.
And they won.
You can trust us.
So it comes down to the people versus corporations. Let's just keep
No. We need to be an informed citizenry. People shouldn't hold information back. Labeling should be correct and accurate on products.
Okay.
That's real simple.
But why isn't it then?
But I'm talking about, what about the computers? What about the nice cars? I mean, all of these is because of companies. Governments aren't going to make these kind of things. They're not going to make innovations. They're not going to make the world better. They're going to
we're
just.
not disagreeing.
But see, we are disagreeing. The computers and the cars are control mechanisms for an industrialized, carbon-based system that's on the way out.
Listen here, Gideon. I like the NSA.
Yes.
I like throwing every keystroke on the internet. When I want to put a camera in your. As a matter of fact, I already have one there.
Well, I think everyone can hear you all loud and clear.
I mean, the reality is, it's what we're dealing with.
Right.
What is it called? The Patriot Act. What is it?
Oh.
The Endless War Act for y'all.
The things they label things, as soon as they label it one way, you know it's the opposite. The Patriot, the affordable health care, it means it can be unaffordable. They label it one way, you pretty much be sure it's going to be the opposite way, you know?
Well, therein, that's why we are jaded when we talk about government, specifically in the Hebrew community, black, colored, Negro, African American, whatever you call us this time. We're jaded because we know historically it has not benefited us.
Yeah.
Even from the judicial seat, the seat
it's awful.
that's supposed to be of justice.
Right.
Find out, homie, been getting kickbacks from putting our children in jail.
I know, that's so wrong.
And the conformist Negroes, that's when they go into full blast power protect mode.
Yeah.
Go protect the whole hell. Y'all calm down now.
Yeah.
You know, Master didn't mean to put all our children in jail. Just we're gonna work it out.
Well, see, that's why we got a new party called the Coffee Party here.
Exactly.
But see, so when I get in office, government, instead of growing every year, will be decreasing a little bit. Wouldn't it be a great place to cut budget? Would be in the prison system? Wouldn't that be a great place to cut some of the budget?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as it's replaced, that, like you said, it goes back to education. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the criminalization, a lot of the acts that that Africans in America do or perpetrators is because lack of means of providing for themselves.
Thank you.
Education is the key to freedom and liberation.
Right.
And we have to educate everyone well. Everyone needs to have that as a basic right.
Well,
There's
Gideon
no doubt
brought up a
about it.
very good point. He said, you know, we have across the country, a school to prison pipeline. So he was saying, well, why not have a prison to work line?
Yeah.
Back to the workforce, meaning why not invest in, you know, because Baltimore.
I agree with that. I think we should look at where, you know, education inside the prisons to help people transition back into regular lives. You work with them to write up resumes, bring job interviews into the prison system so people have jobs when they leave.
But what we presently have is corporations paying little and not training the prison, but getting major contracts that they make billions off of.
It's wrong.
While the people that are coming through the system get no training or anything because they don't want to stop the recidivism rate.
Right.
Because
And
it's
that's
all
wrong.
part of the
System.
the system of the
Prisons are
music,
privatized
which is
now.
why that's why I'm saying, John F. Kennedy, you've got his look. Beautiful just like him, probably have a beautiful wife like he did. He wanted to change this corrupt system, and they shot a king down in broad daylight.
Yep.
And wasn't shy about it.
Yep.
But Gideon, they did
Understand?
change it.
Yep.
Look at the.
But you know how I feel about this. Like what he said, you can't trust everything everybody says. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was a lot. I like Kennedy. He was cool and everything like that. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's about pandering. You know, we have to look at, you know, the people come to us with all kind of things to get our votes and things of this nature. So we have to just be super, 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 super careful. One of the things that I did want to say about, we talk about less government, which is important, but when a people are able to be self-sufficient. Right now, us as Africans here in America, we have to make sure that we're able to be self-sufficient. It's like what you were saying, the young men coming home from prison, they do provide some of those work programs. Some of them, they have trade schools, they have things of this, but, and this is not to knock private businesses. You know, it's just we don't have a lot of private businesses in our community. But when people have private businesses, they have the right not to hire these young men and women. So, yeah, we would advocate smaller government, like Mr. Hunt was saying, you know, to decrease the government. Sounds good, but are we self-sufficient? Are we what they say in Gaza Musamba, Kuja Khalil? Can we practice that self-sufficient, that self-dependence?
That's a great point. We need to transition this over about 20 years is the way I look at it. And some things we need to keep and maintain forever and ever. Great education and some other things like that. So everyone has the tools to attack life, to live life, in pursuit of happiness, and wherewithal, and feeling good about what they've accomplished. So we definitely, there's some parts that will always be there. Now, sometimes private companies do a better job of that than the public, because in government there's a lot of corruption, and people don't do things that are for the good and everything. So we really need to have a check on that. And then parents need to have the choice of where they get to send their children. Rather than being forced to send them to a bad school, they should be able to choose, well, here's a good school, and here's this school, and I get to choose between the two. That's freedom.
Absolutely.
Don't we want that, the freedom of choice?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at Grady. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, but when you mentioned corruption in government, why not have a more transparent government?
Oh, I love that. And that's one of the things I've been talking to people about. I'm glad you bring that up. Because what I will look at is I'm going to be requesting that certain bills be drawn up and brought through the legislature and brought to me for signature, because I want change. Okay? If there are people that alter those bills along the way, everyone needs to understand which senators or representatives or congresspeople are doing those changes. Okay? If they're writing something else on a good bill, here's a good bill, and then they add other things to it that are special interests and other things like that, we need to know who's doing that.
Absolutely.
Now, let me
And
ask
it needs to be on the web and clearly stated who the people are doing these things. We need to have full transparency.
So how would you handle this situation that we've just heard of, which I call vet scam, where we've heard, just like the CRTT scandal with the school system, paperwork was being manipulated. But in this instance, not only were people getting kickbacks, but people's lives were at stake. Many people have died across the state, across the United States, as a result of fraudulent paperwork indicating that individuals were being pushed through the system where they were coming in for certain types of care, but they were not being seen and they were being left to die. How would you handle this very tragic situation and corruption at the highest level in a system of inequity and injustice?
Well, one of the worst things is they're treating our heroes like that. These are people that were willing to put their lives on the line for our country and freedom, and they're treating them like that.
They, well, you say they, who is that they?
The government.
The government. Thank you for saying that. He tried to hide that.
No, I didn't. It's 100% the government.
I understand where Dr. is coming from. He's saying, look, the Democrats and Republicans, they done sold out. So
they're corrupt.
He's saying, right, but he's saying government, but he's saying you want to go in and fix the government.
They ain't gonna let him do that.
Well, what you do is you find new and better systems and ways of accomplishing. What if we had a system where you have a certain amount of money that's available to people that need good health care because they're not able to afford it, okay? This similar type of pool, but instead of having the government run it and oversee it, you had it that the money was put into a pool that was available to individual doctors to have programs, and then the people could decide which doctor they go to get the right health care. There's actually a case that this would cut our medical expenses. The system could be done for 2/3 the current cost, and you have better service.
how you gonna stop them from getting this money? You gonna stop this pimping? That's what the medical system is. It's a pimp game. We know the government has charged what, $500 or $50 for a hammer? All the with exorbitant overpricing. This is part of the system of corruption and capitalism.
It will be a fight to change the system. It'll be a fight.
Intrinsic.
But if there's enough of the people, and we, the people, let the government know we're not going to tolerate it anymore, and we voice our opinions at the poll.
It's got to be revolution, man. The poll, they flipped that when they. Wait a minute, what did they show during the Bush? What was that? Ford, the presidency where his.
Talking about the Florida, where the.
Right,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
man. You know they flip the vote when they want to.
Yeah.
Prior to this presidential election, when Bush's brother was down there in Florida, he won the popular vote. But see, then you've got what? The Electoral College.
Yeah.
The Negroes didn't know anything about the Electoral College.
But I'm gonna tell you, I think that's, a lot of that is like what our old folks used to say, don't air your dirty laundry. A lot of that is due to our lack of educating our people. You know what I'm saying? We have to go in, we have to have shows like this, we have to get on, we have to do what you brothers are doing, even if it's putting the heat on a little bit, Mr. Hunt, and making them sweat a little bit uncomfortable. We have to do this because we have to go back and we have to educate our people. I agree with you about revolution, but I think that revolution is, like I said, I read Frantz Fanon, The Wretched of Earth, and Frantz Fanon said you can't tell a man how to fight for his freedom. So you have to, in order to change your conditions, you have to use every weapon available in the political process, going through, we have to have our lobbyists, we have to have our people doing our things that speak for our best interests. And if we have someone in there that candidate, Caucasian European candidate, Mexican, Hispanic candidate, whatever, as long as they're speaking to special things that direct us specifically, we should listen. And the same way we say, hey, we put your butt in there, we'll get your butt out. You know what I'm saying? And take control of that. At the same time, doing it, exercising our other options. I'm a nationalist, exercising our other options of building our community up and empowering us as a people. You know what I'm saying? So we have to take advantage of everything, because what ends up happening is government ends up changing, things change around us, and then we're affected. Suppose they do away with big government, everybody privatizes, but we still didn't build businesses. We still don't own the curriculum. We still don't have hospitals. Like you said, this pool, wonderful idea for the medical thing. It's not wonderful if we don't have African-American doctors that can say, hey,
there
this
are
and
a lot of very good ones. My wife actually works in the medical field, and there are some tremendous ones.
Right, but one of the things we say on this show, our skin folk is not all our kin folk. We have a president that is our skin folks, and in some of the things he's committed a lot more crimes. No disrespect, Mr. President, a lot more crimes than the former president, President Bush.
And nature.
Right, exactly, than President Bush.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? But if we as African people get caught up in the skin thing, we don't look at the drones killing American citizens.
Take it out of
you know
my
what I'm
head.
saying? Tapping our phones and things of this nature.
right.
The expansion of bigger government and more government involved in our private and personal lives because they have an African American perpetrating.
Liberty.
Right,
We want liberty.
We want
We
liberty.
want liberty. So I think that's one of the things we have to look at. And one of the things, what are you going to do about this traffic, man?
No, we have to take care of the traffic.
Man, Georgia's terrible.
Well, Atlanta's terrible.
Atlanta's terrible.
I mean, traffic, the rest of the state's not bad.
Man.
Atlanta, we need to take care of the traffic. And there's absolutely things we can do about the traffic. There are key intersections that need to be rebuilt. What we don't need is a 10 to 15 year program that costs $40 billion and gives the money to all the special interest groups.
Right.
What we need is the quick implementation of just lights that run sequentially, so that when you go, you don't hit red light. You hit green, because that's the flow of the traffic, and here's the speed limits, and computer systems that can help monitor and leave traffic. And that can be done. And that can be done in just short amount of time and in a cost-effective way too. And it's not done. Government is not functioning right.
Well, I think that
We need
also
cost-effective solutions.
Absolutely. Well, I think that if we began to work more in concert with the environment, because rainwater, because of all the concrete that we have in this country, in Atlanta, the wash-off, the loss of topsoil, I mean, there's just so much involved with how we plan our communities and our cities. And because we haven't had an emphasis on the ecology of our environment, the health of our children has drastically diminished. We talk about issues of bipolar. We talk about the children having certain autoimmune diseases, from plastics to toxicity of our air. there are just a number of things. And when we talk about corporations, we were looking at the bottom line for them, it's profit.
That's right.
It's the bottom line. Even when China, most favored nation status, sending all these children's toys laced with lead.
Lead, yeah.
You understand? So when we talk about the diminished quality of the products, the amount of trash that's produced in this country, and the effect that it's having on our environment, what are your thoughts as a libertarian about the ecology and the health of our environment?
Well, part of liberty and your right to your freedom and your health has to do with the air and the water, okay?
That's right.
Because if someone's polluting your air, they're acting against you. They're taking an act against you. Right. They're polluting your water that you have to have access to. They're affecting you. They're taking your liberties and rights away, okay? So we need to make sure that we have clean air and clean water, okay? And make sure people respect one another and don't want to hurt the air and the water.
Okay, but what type of enforcements would you bring?
There you go.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Because he's made that sound so nice, didn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
there
he
you
just
go.
kind of floated all over that one.
To go, Willie.
It's true. I mean, it's a simple truth.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's a simple truth.
Application, however, let's get to application.
We look at punishment and penalty on the arena.
Oh, man.
Right.
Well, that's because that's all you all ever see.
Yeah, exactly. It's right.
You want punishment and penalty because that's all they ever give me is punishment and penalty.
Did you see him pick that up? He's sharp.
It's sharp, right.
That's the only language the corporation picks up. Like, let's look at Norway. Let's look at Greenland. You know, they stole from the people, the banksters up there, and they locked them up.
Right.
You know, but here Obama gave them a golden parachute.
Exactly.
Don't do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to bail you out now, guys.
We're going to bail you out. We're going to bail you out.
Look now, that last party you guys had, you overseeded all the expenses.
Yeah.
You know, we just can't have that go public again.
So openness and full information is very important for the individual to choose which products they want to buy. Okay? Now, first of all, we just can't let people just openly pollute, things. We need to make sure that there is, a good balance there. And if someone is, there needs to be, repercussions for that and ways of addressing it. Okay?
Stop.
Okay? But the most important thing is that the people understand that this corporation is doing this, and then you decide to stop buying their product because of it.
Well, let me make a suggestion.
You don't want them to make money for doing those things? Guess how you stop them? You don't buy their product anymore.
But we're not monolithic like that in our thought process.
It's too bad. That's why we have to have a republic works best with a well-educated citizenry. And that's what we need. We need educated people to make educated choices throughout their lives.
You're talking revolution. Go ahead.
Yes,
Glenn.
I am. In effort. The people have to put out effort in their lives to have a revolution.
And that sounds good, but why not have an elite inspection force go around like Yanga and myself, and we go around these nuclear plants and we inspect ourselves. You can employ us and you can pay us for that.
Well, there's actually people who are trained and they inspect them, and
Why not train us?
Well, but see, this is the issue of the nuclear plant, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were about that, because they are forcing us to pay for a plant that hasn't even been built yet through your electric bill. It isn't about your vote, sir. Yeah. It's that, are you getting your electricity from Georgia Power? Yes. Well, you will pay this additional fee. As a libertarian, how would you attack that? And because suppose you don't believe in nuclear energy.
You need to deregulate.
And the impact in the environment. Right. Once again, there goes that word, the environment.
Yeah. Well, libertarians don't like monopolies. They don't like collusion, where it's a free enterprise system is what you're supposed to have. So if multiple companies come together and fix prices, that's not the free enterprise system. Exactly. You have to have open competition without people trying to put it to the consumer. So we have to stop and make sure that we don't have that going on. So those are areas that the libertarians believe in the free enterprise system. The free enterprise system works when you have an open, competitive marketplace and not collusion.
Oh yeah, they definitely won't let you up in that home.
Like yourself being a libertarian, just like I want to say Ron Paul, I think you guys have to concentrate on making a more transparent government and a more transparent voting process, because it seems like you guys are getting snuffed out.
Exactly.
nationwide.
They always do.
Right, you guys getting snuffed out because I like what you're saying. I like what Ron Paul's saying.
It makes
Nope.
sense.
Somehow you guys
Getting snuffed, they're getting snuffed out.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they're getting snuffed out, because, and just be frank, because they are like, and no disrespect, they're like friendly Republicans.
Exactly.
No,
They will invite you to home for
Right,
dinner.
you know what I'm saying? They're cool. They're like empowering all the
I
people
know what
that's
it's
there.
like to be a minority.
Okay, so, right, exactly. So it's no, you have to explain. I'm being
Yeah,
quiet
I'm
on
gonna
that.
have
I
to
gotta
ask
hear
that.
that. How's that?
How is it that you know what it's
Yeah.
like to be a minority?
Well, I'm a libertarian.
Okay, continue.
They have certain rules and laws that inhibit access to the ballot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only the D's and R's can get on the ballot of all the different races
See?
in this state.
That lets you know right there.
Yeah,
So-
there are
It's collusion.
no, there are definitely laws and rules that exclude or against
Right. certain
people or sectors of people, and those are the ones we have to address and take care of.
let me ask-
And when I get in office, because enough of people are going to come together, there are upset enough. Both the D's and the R's, they'll come from both sides,
Yes.
because they're tired of the buyouts and the sellouts, and they want an open and
But isn't
transparent
that
government.
America? Is that not America?
That's what. No, it's what America's become.
That's
It's
right.
not what it was meant to be.
Okay.
Well, let me
And we
say
need to get it back to where it was
because
supposed
we
to
have
be.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
give Dr. Hunt like 3 to 4 minutes. Why a vote for you would be the right vote for Georgia? Why? Let's give you 3 minutes to really
Go ahead.
lay your spill out and really hear
Hey.
what you have, because we appreciate you coming on and answering the questions, even the
Absolutely.
tough questions. So we want to give opportunity for you to say why a vote for you would be the best vote for Georgia.
Well, our current system makes it so that we only can choose the D's and R's, and peoples have been making those choices. And we can see where it's gotten us.
That's right.
Okay? Government continues to grow. Government continues to infringe on our life and liberties. They're not providing the basic services properly that we're supposed to. There is corruption. We're hearing it all the time. All these different ethical cases, payouts of people of $1 million to keep them quiet on issues that are out there. And we have to stop that. We have to make a different choice. People need to say enough is enough. Less than 20% of the voters went to the poll for the primaries because they don't want to vote for any of these people. Okay, but they need to know that there's a third choice. The press is going to try and keep us out. They're going to try and keep us out of so many different ways. We have to build the name recognition and let people know that they have a valid third choice. Someone who has a PhD from Georgia Tech, ran his own small business, can understand the problems, solve the problems cost effectively, and reduce the regulations and give freedom. Make systems fair, make sure all the rules and laws are applied to every sector in Georgia equally. No unfair burdens on any part of the citizenry at all. We are one Georgia, we are one people, and we need to behave like that and act like that, and our government needs to represent us correctly that way.
Wow. Okay. Do we give him a hand or what?
Can we give him a hand? Is that proper?
No. Okay. All right. There you go.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
I mean, he just made a statement.
All right.
Did we buy it?
We'll see. We'll see come election day. Yeah.
Right, we're going. We're definitely
yeah.
going to. And don't worry about the media there, Dr. Hunt. The arena's seen worldwide.
Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
YouTube it.
See, the internet levels the playing field.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So NBC, Fox, we don't worry about all that here on the arena.
That's
So
right.
by you coming on here, that means that's going to have to turn the pressure up on Deal and Carter, because by you being on here, that speaks volumes. There.
Yes.
Well, it's been an honor being here. You guys are just fabulous. I love the exchange and dialogue. You all are great citizens because you care.
Well, see, I haven't reached citizen status yet because I know I'm a descendants of slaves, and we know that citizens have full political rights. we do know that the civil rights of the so-called African American, Negro, colored have been jeopardized, and they have civil rights groups that have been trying to fight for equality in the civil rights and political arena ever since we came on the boat. So the reality is we don't have full political rights.
Let's work on it together, okay?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But for
No
me,
man should
it's
feel that way.
It's a spirit.
No man should
See,
feel that
I'm about the spirit.
We go with the spirit.
And the spirit tells me that you're a powerful leader, that the righteous and justice and equality that you espouse comes from your heart, and that is a beautiful thing. And I believe at the end of the day that the Creator is going to allow right-thinking people to come to fight against the oligarchy, the ruling elite, those who would use carbon-based fuels and technologies to debilitate the earth, destroy the air quality and our water, and that would use profit, a material, artificially created item to subjugate the quality of humanity and the fact that humanity has been devalued in this capitalist system. So I would never vote for white privilege or white supremacy, but I respect your candidacy, your leadership, and the family that you represent as a governor, as one who's running for the race of governor in Georgia.
Yeah, good.
And I would advise everyone out here, you know, that heard Dr. Hunt, that is involved with the political process, accountability. Hold our elected officials to accountability.
Amen.
Going, you know, talking to them, seeing what's going on, following them, keeping up with, and making your voice heard. If you have one of the things that Brother Gideon was saying, historically in our communities, the churches were the center, the nucleus of the community where even the politicians came to address us. So we have to start holding accountability, having our politicians come to address us, asking the tough questions like we did of Dr. Hunt, demanding transparency and forthrightness in their responses. And just, there again, to end it all, man, accountability, holding our elected officials to accountability.
Right, and I'm gonna say to the people, or the candidates of Georgia, you gotta come through the arena.
Got you.
Mr. Deal,
Yes.
Mr. Carter. See, man, Carter ain't just gonna let you fly by
Nope.
in the arena.
Gotta come to the arena, right.
The challenge, put down that gauntlet. The challenge is made. Deal and Carter,
Right.
we want you here. The arena.
Right.
Face him.
You gotta go through the gauntlet.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
feel that testosterone?
Yeah, you feel it, right.
I mean, we love it. I mean, the reality is that we are a family of
Yeah.
humans that need to
We are
work
the human
together
family.
and race toward dignity, justice, and equality.
Yes.
Yes.
That is the race that we need to promote, and that's what you represent, and that's what we've been talking about. This issue of fairness and equality, miseducation, prison industrial complex, military industrial complex. All of these elements come into a very complex array of issues that we have to deal with. But through love and acceptance and having a systematic agenda. See, I believe at first, for me as a so-called descendant of slaves, I have to identify who I am to this government.
That's right.
Who I am, not who they say I am, Negro, colored, black,
Right.
African American. Who I am as a Hebrew Israelite. And then have the government respect me from that perspective versus the social security number that they gave me.
All right, what that
Right on.
said,
All right.
Somebody get him some water.
peace. Oh,
Fire hydrant, put him out.
Oh no.
Brother's hot.
we're going to do a show on. We're gonna come back and do a show on. What we gonna do a show on?
What we gonna do a show on, man?
Man, oh man, we're gonna do a show on. Oh man, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Why everyone should vote Libertarian.
Hey, that was it. And vote for Dr. Hunt,
There we
Dr.
go.
Andrew Hunt, in the upcoming gubernatorial election.
Yes.
Yes.
Did that come out of my mouth?
Like I
You're
said,
right.
I'm
I've
gonna-
never voted for a governor.
Yeah. Choose the career politicians that are bought into the system that everyone wants to break, or someone that's not part of the system that wants to break the system. It's your choice.
A maverick.
It's your choice.
Yeah.
And then, but if God so will that I get into office,
Yes.
I'm going to need all of you all afterwards, because I'm going to be one of the few libertarians in office. And it's the
Exactly.
people that I'll need to stand behind me.
Absolutely.
So I'll be calling on you when I want to make these changes that we're talking about here. And I'll need you all to sometimes come around the Capitol and say, yeah, all friendly and peaceful, but yeah, we believe in this. We do it.
Well,
Man.
we're out.